Oh, so imagine, right, a world where like everything you put your money in today explodes in value. And we're not talking like small gains. We're talking 50 times by like 2032.
Yeah, that's the scale Raoul thinking on.
It's
$100
insane.
trillion crypto market cap
Yeah.
from, what is it now, 2?
2 trillion, yeah.
It's
It's a jump.
it's a big
So
jump.
we had to like dive into this, right?
Yeah.
Raoul, former Goldman Sachs trader, now basically like crypto guru, right?
Yeah, he's the expert's expert almost on this
Yeah,
stuff.
he's the guy. So we're gonna break this down, but big picture, I mean, this isn't just about blindly following Raoul.
Oh, okay.
We're trying to arm you, the listener, with like how to think about this stuff, regardless of are you, a Bitcoin OG or are you just getting started?
Yeah, and to start, I think you got to, address the elephant in the room, which is that we just went through this crazy like crypto roller coaster,
Well, like a month ago.
And Raoul has he calls them macro spasms.
He says it's a feature, not a bug, of the market.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like 2 to 4, 30% dips every year.
Yeah, you got to get comfortable with that volatility. He's all about that buy the dip mentality.
Right, right. But this particular dip, this macro spasm, was kind of triggered by something specific.
Yeah, it all started with the Bank of Japan.
Okay.
They started intervening in the currency market, right? Because the Japanese yen was getting weaker, so they started selling off U.S. dollars.
Okay.
And basically that had this ripple effect across the whole global financial system.
So explain that to me, like, because that seems very like economics textbook, but how does that translate to the price of Bitcoin?
So basically, when the Bank of Japan starts selling all these dollars, it puts pressure on anyone who's borrowed yen.
Oh.
And there's a lot of people who borrow yen. And you can imagine if you borrowed money when the exchange rate was in your favor, but then suddenly it shifts dramatically, you're in a much riskier position.
So to cover their losses, they had to sell what, crypto, whatever they could.
Exactly. And that kind of creates this domino effect across these markets that you wouldn't think are connected, but they are.
Right.
And this chain reaction kind of led to this big drop in the crypto market.
Okay, so it wasn't like Bitcoin itself crashing.
No.
It was this weird global
This macro, yeah, exactly.
macro situation.
And the thing is, this all happened when like the economic cycle was actually looking up,
Okay.
Like the Fed's cutting rates, inflation is cooling off. It wasn't like a systemic meltdown.
So it really was just this spasm.
Exactly.
And then so for all those people who panicked and sold.
Oh, I know.
Classic buy low, sell lower.
Tough lesson to learn.
So how does Raoul, like he's seen so many of these cycles. Yeah.
How does he say we should like actually navigate this kind of volatility?
So he has these 3 rules that he lives by.
Okay.
And rule number 1 is all about time horizon. He's really adamant that when you invest in crypto, you need to be thinking in terms of years, not days or weeks.
Yeah, no, I was going to say longer time frames.
Longer time frames. He talks about this, this young investor, Jaden Levitt.
Yeah.
And Jaden was all about chasing pumps, trying to get in and out quickly.
Yeah, rich quick.
Yeah. And, he got burned, as you do in this market.
Right. FOMO's a powerful drug.
It is. It is.
So how does Raoul, translate that into an actual, strategy, this long-term thinking?
He sizes his positions based on how long he's willing to hold an asset and how big of a drawdown he's anticipating.
Okay.
So, for example, he's predicted that Bitcoin could reach $100,000.
Right.
Which is, huge.
Huge.
But he also says a 50% dip along the way, totally possible.
Yeah. So he doesn't go all in at once. He scales into his position gradually.
Manages that risk.
Exactly.
Okay, so long-term risk management, rule number 1. What's rule number 2 for surviving, thriving in this wild world?
Rule number 2 is be a mercenary, not a missionary.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. It's all about cutting through the noise,
Right, because there's so much of it.
So much hype, so many coins, so many communities.
Yeah, it's like every day.
Every day.
It's a new thing.
Exactly.
That's the next big thing.
And it's very easy to get caught up in that.
Yeah.
But Raoul's whole mercenary mindset is designed to cut through that.
So you're not falling for the cult of the coin.
Exactly. You're not in it for the philosophy. You're in it to you know,
To make money.
yeah,
Be honest with ourselves.
to make smart investments, and he focuses on networks that are gaining real-world adoption.
Yeah.
A perfect example is Solana. He was all over Solana when it was trading around $30. And look at it now, over $100.
Right.
He saw the potential there, the speed, the applications, the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, so he's got this knack for like spotting these things early, but does that mean we should all just be like chasing pumps then?
No, not at all. And that's his third rule. Concentrate, don't speculate.
Okay.
He says, trying to time the market perfectly, selling at the very top, it almost always backfires.
Because you get that FOMO.
Or you sell when you see a little dip, then it recovers, you're like, should have held on.
Right.
And he thinks it's more effective to like ride the macro trend instead of trying to like outsmart the market day to day.
Yeah.
We were just talking about Solana, right? That's a perfect example of this concentrate philosophy.
Okay.
He's not spreading himself thin across hundreds of coins. He's like, these are my top contenders, and I'm in it for the long haul.
And Solana, I mean, it's like we've got to talk about it's Raoul's darling, right?
Yeah, for a reason, right?
So why, like, what's the expert take on why he's so bullish on this one in particular?
Well, remember that mercenary rule.
Right.
He's looking for real-world adoption. He actually thinks Solana could be like an Ethereum killer.
Whoa, strong words.
Strong words, but, I mean, he's got his reasons, right? He talks about Solana scalability, those low transaction fees. Those have been a problem for Ethereum.
Yeah.
So he sees that as a big advantage.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But, I mean, Solana's had its own issues, right? Like, remember all that network congestion stuff?
Right, and this is where Raoul, like, flips the script. He says that congestion is actually a good sign.
Really?
It means people are using the network.
Oh.
Like, if a restaurant has a 2-hour wait, that's annoying.
Yeah.
It means the food is good.
Right. So, like, how popular does he think Solana can actually get?
Well, he's throwing out some big numbers. He said, $800, even $2,500 by the end of this cycle. But again, this isn't about timing the market perfectly. It's about that long-term vision.
Right.
And that's what I think is so interesting about Raoul's perspective. He's not just talking about, like, this coin or that coin. He's talking about this whole, like, paradigm shift.
Okay, so you out for me. Like, why is this time different? We've seen crypto booms and busts before. Why is Raoul so convinced that this is, like, the big one?
He says it's bigger than just another cycle. It's like a fundamental shift.
Okay.
And it all starts with what central banks are doing.
Printing money like crazy.
Exactly. And Raoul argues that, well, this has created, its own problems, like this slow-burning debt crisis.
Right.
It's also created this floor for asset prices. These crashes are less likely.
So they're, like, propping up the system, which actually benefits crypto?
It's more nuanced than that, but yeah, you can think of it that way.
Okay.
He sees traditional finance getting shaky, and that pushes people towards alternatives, like crypto.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
He actually compares it to, like, the early days of the internet. Remember the dot-com boom?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone thought it was crazy.
Yeah.
But then it kept going up. And the people who got in early and held on, they made a killing.
Right. So he's saying crypto is going to be bigger than the internet.
That's what he's saying. And he points out that the speed of adoption for crypto is actually like twice as fast as the internet.
Really?
It's because it's built on top of the internet.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's not just tech. It's like how we think about value, ownership, even trust.
Okay, so if we're in this early stage and Raul's advice is basically ride the wave, like, where do we even begin? He must have some thoughts on, like, which assets are the safest bets in this new world.
Yeah, he's actually pretty conservative when it comes to that.
Okay.
He says focus on the top 3 to 5 assets.
So, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, the obvious ones.
Right, the blue chips of
Right.
the crypto world, so to speak.
Right.
And then as you move further out on that risk curve, you get into the more speculative stuff,
Mm-hmm.
the smaller projects. Those could go to the moon, but they could also go to zero.
Right. Higher risk, higher reward.
Exactly.
So if I'm hearing Raoul correctly, you don't need to gamble to capture these gains.
Exactly.
It's about, like, positioning yourself for the wave, not trying to pick the single winning horse.
It's about the macro trend.
Yeah.
And speaking of potentially disruptive technologies, we were talking about NFTs earlier.
Right. The digital monkeys. Yeah. I'll be honest, I still don't quite get it.
Well, get ready for a mind shift because Raoul thinks NFTs could be the biggest thing in crypto.
Really? Bigger than like DeFi, bigger than all these like super fast blockchains?
He's really into this idea of digital scarcity.
Okay.
Think about it. In the digital world, you can copy anything infinitely, right?
Right.
Which should make everything worthless.
Right. Yeah.
Like printing money endlessly, it causes inflation.
Right. Supply and demand.
Exactly. But NFTs change that. They create scarcity in the digital world, and that has implications way beyond just JPEGs.
So not just like digital art, but actual real world assets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Contracts, property deeds, even concert tickets.
Wow. It's like a whole new system of ownership.
Exactly. And while Raoul himself collects, digital art and stuff, he's most excited about these practical applications.
Interesting.
Imagine, like, your car title, your medical records, all secured, easily transferable using NFTs.
That's kind of mind-blowing.
It is.
It's
yeah.
like also a little scary.
It is. It's a huge shift, and most people don't even realize it's happening.
And that's why we're talking about it.
Exactly. This stuff is moving fast.
It is. It is. It's a lot to take in, right?
Yeah, but that's Raoul's point. This tech, it's not slowing down.
So, okay, if we're at the very beginning of this like massive shift and Raoul's saying, buy the dip, but not just like price-wise, but just like knowledge-wise.
Yeah, understand this stuff.
Yeah, where do we even begin?
Honestly, just start exploring. Don't write it off. NFTs, it's not just a fad. Dive in. Think about what it could mean.
For like our actual lives, you mean?
Yeah, your life, your work, everything. It's like, yeah, it's a new language.
But it's the language of the future, potentially.
Right, exactly.
Okay, I like that. So there you have it, folks. Raoul Pal, breaking it down. Buy the dip, learn the techs, future of finance, all that good stuff.
The future in general.
The future in general, yeah. All right, until next time, happy investing, everybody.